This is our first recording on Microsoft Excel. And what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the very basics of how to operate Excel in this recording. In the next one then we'll go on to a little bit more advanced material. What I'm using is documentation from UCC on Excel 2010 Level 1. And so Level 1 should take maybe 2-3 recordings. And then we'll go on to some examples. If you are very familiar with Microsoft Excel and you know how to use it, then that's fine. If you don't want to watch it, you can move on to the more advanced ones if you like. So what we'll have a look at, we've opened Microsoft Excel here. And what we'll have a look at was we go through the bits and pieces on Microsoft Excel as well. Now, so what it is, Excel is a spreadsheet application, right, that allows you to organize your data into lists. And you can perform calculations in Excel, you can generate charts, you can analyze your data, you can summarize your data, and so on. So in order to use, so I'm using Microsoft Excel 2010. You may have an earlier version, you may have a later version. I can't accommodate all the various versions, so I'll just use 2010, and it shouldn't be, if you have a later version, it shouldn't be too much different to it. So we'll start at the beginning really, and as I said, if you're familiar with it, you can move on. So what we have is a file system, file menu. So the file menu was removed for old versions of Excel, but it's back now, so you have a file menu here. So when you click on file, what you'll see is old documents or documents that you had opened before. You'll see them coming up and you'll see where they're stored. That's one of the first things you can see. What you also see in here is elements such as save, save as, open, close, info, recent, new, and so on, save and print. What we mainly be using is save, save as, open, close. Okay, so we'll go home again, and home brings you back to your Microsoft Excel screen. Your cells, all your cells and rows that you need for analyzing your data. So the first thing we see here is the ribbon menu here, and the ribbon menu having various tabs. So the tabs then are elements that you use for your various commands. So there are 7 tabs here in Excel 2010, Microsoft Excel 2010. And what the tabs are used for is to organize together related groups of commands. So it could be something to do with font and font size, font color, or it could be something to do with graphing or charting, or it could be something to do with the layout of your cells, or you might decide at some stage to be using formulas. You might look at data, various data analysis here. Review, then you might be putting in comments and so on, and view, how you view your page and how you view your screens. We'll probably concentrate today on the home and maybe the insert. Okay, or when I say today, I mean this recording. So as I said, there's 7 tabs. Now, so what you have here is home, insert, page, layout, and so on. And what you also have on this menu here in your tabs, so your tab will bring you up your various commands. You also have these dialog box launchers, which you may or may not have seen these before, which instead of clicking into each one individually, if you click into there, it brings you up all the information about formatting your cells. So in terms of your font or your type of font here, or the size or the color, you can do that with this little dialog box launcher here. For example, if you bring up format cells, it'll give you all the information about formatting cells. You won't have to go into the cell itself, numbers and so on. Sometimes in order to go into these you have to right click on certain things, but using the dialog box launcher you should be able to see them straight away. So what you get in there is more options related to that group or that grouping of information, and they'll form a kind of a dialog box of information that you can use. Now, you also in Microsoft Excel have this quick access toolbar up here, so where you have things that can be in here and indeed in the ribbon, various areas here. You can create shortcuts to them that will appear up here in this quick access toolbar. So things that you use quite often you can include up here. Okay, so you can modify these as well, and you can incorporate new things. So for example, you don't want the redo, you can remove it from there. Or you do want the redo again, you can include it there. You're not interested in having the spelling up there. You're not interested in having the email option up there. You're not interested in having undo option up there. However, these are quite useful commands for you as you progress using Microsoft Excel. So we'll just sort ascending, sort descending is quite useful as well. So we put these up here, and you can modify them accordingly. So very easy to remove a button or to add a button to the Excel book as such. So that's your ribbons here, and we'll be going through each of these in a little bit more detail. And this is your quick access toolbar. And now in this area here, this is your Excel workbook. Okay, so you can see your Excel workbook contains 3 sheets: sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. You can rename these sheets if you're working on various things. You right click on the sheet 1 and you rename it. Okay, you can right click on sheet 2 and you can rename that as well. So you can rename the sheets, and you can also move the sheets by clicking on the sheet, holding the mouse down and moving it. It might be quite useful for you. So often if you're creating graphs, you might need to remove the sheets and things like that. If you want to add more sheets, you just click on the add more sheet. For example, you're working at 5 or 6 different things and you're going to use the one Excel workbook, you can do that. Okay, you can delete the sheets as well, so just right clicking and again deleting the sheet from the Excel workbook. Okay, so we'll go back to our 3 sheets. Delete. Okay, so we have our 3 sheets. Generally that's a standard. You can add more, you can remove them. It's up to yourself. So in Excel, when you open a new workbook, it contains 3 sheets, as I said. It's useful to organize and store related information within the same file but on different sheets sometimes. Now in the Excel workbook itself, you'll see that you can scroll down and down and down, and you have a number of different rows. You actually have the option of having just over 1,048,000 rows. Okay, in terms, and they're ordered by number here. Okay, and each cell is as an address. So you can have a number of different rows, and in terms of the columns are ordered by letters in the alphabet. So A to Z, and then once you are finished with Z, you start AA to AZ, and then once you have completed those, you move on to BA to BZ. Once you've completed those, CA to ZZ, and so on. You have the option of having 16,384 columns in your Excel spreadsheet. So your Excel spreadsheet can actually be quite large. You won't use that much information in EC2119 or EC2120. If you're doing that module, you'll use a small selection of that. So this is your capacity of your cell anyway. So the sheet tabs then, they appear at the bottom. So, and as I said, you can move them and change them around should you need. Now, renaming the tab, you can add new sheets. Now, you can also delete the worksheets as well. Now, in order to save a file, so you have written some information here in your file. We'll say you have put in some information in there, 5, and you have maybe created a work file there. Now I'll be creating something a little more detailed now in a moment, but it's just to show you how to save the file. So you want to save the file, you go to the file and you go to the save menu. Okay, so you save it then, and whatever you want to call it there. Books, for example, you can save it to your desktop. I'm sure you're familiar with how to save files at this stage. So you can save it to your desktop or onto your hard drive or to your USB key or your memory stick or whatever you're using. So you can do that, so just cancel that. So that's how you save the Excel file. Now you've made changes to the Excel file, but you want to keep the original and you want to also save the new one. What you'd use is the save as function. Okay, the save as keeps the original but saves the new document as well, or saves any changes to the new document. Okay, so now we'll move on to having a look at the cells themselves. So a cell is these little squares, these little kind of rectangles, and here's where you type in your information. Okay, so a cell must be selected or what's called made active to enter the information. You can't enter information over here if this cell is selected. So in order to enter information in cell A1, you would just put the mouse on cell A1. Okay, so the active cell then, the address comes up, the cell that's active or that where you can enter information comes up here in this dialog box here. So this is cell A1, A2, A3, B7, JK, F13 and so on. So the active cell is the one with the black box around it. So the type of data that you can enter in to your cell includes things like text, numbers, dates, or formula that can be entered into a cell. So you can enter in text, you can enter in numbers, or you can enter in formula. Okay. Alright, so we have no information in there. That's why it comes up name. So we could have average or something like mean. Now, so you can enter in a lot of information into the cell. How you do that then you just write in the information into the cell and press return. This brings you down to the cell below. If, for example, you want to copy information from cell to cell, what you do is you click on the cell, the highlighted cell, and down to the black box below and pull the information down as many times as you want to do that. Okay, so you can copy information to a cell. As you type then as you copy, the numbers appear then in the cell like this. Okay. Delete the cell, you need to highlight the cell itself again, and then you can delete. If you want to delete several cells, you hold down the control button, you hold down the arrow button here, the button, and you delete the cells there. You can delete all the buttons, all this information that you have in the cell. If you want to edit what's in a cell, you can do it two ways. You can first of all click into the cell, double click in the cell, so you have the mouse cursor flashing at you there, and delete it there or edit it there. Or you can click up here in this cell dialog box here as well. So you can edit your cell there. Okay, you'll see that if you put something into a cell that's longer than the average space of the cell, it'll go into the next cell provided there's nothing written in the next cell. So if you want to do that and you want to make sure all your cells are visible, what you do is you click on the column and you just double click on the length of the cell on the side of the cell, which expands the cell to reflect the amount of information that's in it. Okay, so what you can also do, sometimes you might be writing out something like months of the year, and you would have, and you don't really want to type out all 12 months, but if you catch your cell like this, it will have recognized that you have written a month, and if you pull your cell along here, it will fill in the numbers for you, or the months of the year for you. Okay, so again, you can do it this way. Okay, so you can autofill various cells as well. So as you could do if you were just doing, if you're doing January, February like this, it'll abbreviate the month for you as well. So that might make things a little easier for you than typing them all out, which is also very interesting or a very useful piece of information if you're doing things like that. Now, we'll go on to having a look at the Home tab, so basic formatting. The first tab that we'll have a look at is the Home tab here. Now I'll delete that information there. And we'll have a look at the Home tab. So the Home tab is the most commonly used feature on Excel, and the features in it are the ones that are most commonly used for general Excel use. So you have things like formatting data, using styles, formatting tables, data formatting, all about changing and how to use your data, cell alignment, moving data, and so on. So we'll have a look at formatting data. So it's the most commonly used feature, as I said, and this is the Home tab here. So normally these features here. So you're typing something out, and you may want to increase the font. So you click on the font size here, or you may want to change the color, or you may want to highlight whatever data you have in that cell. You may want to express it as bold or underlined or indeed italicize it. You may want to change the font, which you can do that. And as you hover over the font without clicking, you can see if it's a font that you're interested in using or not. So you can do that. Okay, so again, if you want to change the format of the font of the cell, you have done some formatting, you've deleted what you want, you can go up here and you can go back to normal, and it removes all formatting that you have carried out, say, on your piece of data, on your piece of information. Okay, so at that point, I'll just pause and move on to the next recording. These recordings that I do, they only last 15 minutes, so they're quite short. You can watch them whenever you like. As I said, if you're familiar with Excel, you can move on to the more advanced material. That's fine. Okay, thank you.